Hey, you're Gen X. That is a great question. So, when it comes to the cost of printing, yes, you have to pay for the cost of printing. For an ebook, there's no cost for printing. So, if you go on Ingram Spark, you are going to cover the cost of the printing. And by the way, you would be doing the same through a vanity press. So, don't let that fool you. That's part of what you're paying for. But the difference is if you're going through Ingram Spark and someone's purchasing that book from Ingram Spark, it's covered in the cost. So there's a percentage split. And KDP, there's a percentage split. On Barnes & Noble Press, there's a percentage split. So based on how much you want to make, the cost of printing, if it's a color book, there's pictures inside, it'll cost you more. Those are the kinds of things that will come into play when you're making the decision on whether or not you're going to charge a certain amount for your book. So those are things that you're going to have to come across when you're an indie author. So there's the cost to print those books. It's the same. Whether you're doing it through Ingram Spark, KDP, or Barnes & Noble Press, which are all great options. I've found that Amazon's printing actually has gotten better recently. I compare my Barnes & Noble book to my KDP book at the Zon, and I kind of like the other ones better. You can do matte finishes. If you have inside cover, like photos that are inside the book, you can make decisions about that as well. Pardon me. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's going to be printing costs. You would be covering those costs as a traditionally published author as well. So someone has to cover the costs of those things. So it's just going to come out from the overall cost of the book. And all of those sites are fairly transparent about what the cost of your book is going to be. No one book is the same because word count is different, and maybe how you decided to add pictures to yours will be a little bit different. Color photos are actually more expensive. So depending on how much you have there. So there's all these other things that come into play. So if you want to purchase author copies and then sell in your, on a TikTok shop here or on your own website, you would be paying the author copy cost that you would order to have on hand, and then you would sell those to your readers, depending on how you want to do that. So you could order them through Ingram, you could order them through the Zon, or you can order them through Barnes & Noble Press as author copies. I hope that answers your question. That was a really good question, and I'm here to answer any more questions that you guys have. I'm just begging you, do not use a vanity press. You guys, I'm telling you this from experience. I've done this myself. I've made these mistakes. It's cost me thousands of dollars. So I have a blog. It's, what I wish I knew when I started as an indie author. If you're interested, check out my blog. I'm going to have a lot of different tips and tricks for you guys. There's no way to become $1 million success as an author. Traditionally published authors, you see successful ones. There are thousands of traditionally published authors that go absolutely nowhere. So don't think that just because you try to get an agent and then you try to get a publisher, that is a ticket to success. That's not. There's no, magic ticket to being a successful author. It takes a lot of work and a lot of luck, let's be honest. So take things with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything you hear, and be mindful of anything that sounds too good to be true. Because if it sounds too good to be true, as my father said, it usually is. And that is something to be very suspicious of. It's hard. Marketing as an author is very hard. Being out here, putting yourself on the line, it's vulnerable, it's scary, and it's hard. But as you might be hearing, traditionally published authors, publishers are no longer going to be paying for marketing for some of these authors. They're going to have to start doing that themselves too.